I believe he added me on Facebook back then, right? He sent me a message. I have it there. The conversations are hilarious. Telling me, thank you for accepting my friend request. Cheers, JM. And I guess at first I didn't pay much attention to him. I think he was adding libertarian people on Facebook, now that he has become a libertarian. But I guess a few months later I realized the importance of him. And in October of that year, in 2014, I sent him a link to a video, a Bitcoin talk that I have uploaded, right? That this talk is still in YouTube. And he answered me like saying, oh, great, amazing. Would you please send me the PowerPoint presentation? He gave me his email, right? And so we started talking, but immediately he told me, my boss wants to invest 800M. And this is when I thought, oh, this guy is crazy. I mean, like I remember the first time I saw him in person, he was wearing like a shirt, right, like I'm wearing now, or yeah, like a formal shirt, but beneath in his pants he had like a swim trunk, right, like a swimsuit, right, and this is how we came to the meeting.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you. Welcome to the party, pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 203. I'm talking to Ariel Aguilar, and he is author of the upcoming book, The Bitcoin Prophecy. He's a Bitcoiner, and yeah, thank you for showing your book. And you can also notice that it has the flag of Argentina on the cover. And we're going to talk about crypto in Argentina and how Milei may be good or bad for crypto and things like that. I've been wanting to get a crypto person on here for quite a while to talk about the situation there. So how are you, Ariel?
I'm fine. Currently in Montenegro. It's a small country between Albania and Croatia.
Yes.
It's a really young country as well. It's from 2007, if I recall correctly, and tiny, 600,000 people.
He's also a traveler. He's in Montenegro right now, which is also home of the Monte Libero project, which is a sort of a free state project in Europe. It's mostly Russians from what I hear, but it's definitely something worth looking into. I may have somebody here talk about that too. So first of all, how did you get into crypto or Bitcoin?
Well, the story is a long one. We were doing the first libertarian political party of Argentina. So back in 2009, we formed a Facebook group that was called I Want a Liberal Party to be Formed in Argentina, something like this. And it had 800 people in it. And we were complete strangers, but we started getting together and we started building the political party. At first, we were going to be called Partido Liberal, which means Liberal Party. In Argentina, liberal does not mean the same as in the US.
Yes, liberal still has its original meaning down there. Yes, Partido, yes. That's
exactly. It means classical liberalism, right?
Yeah.
So
since Milei, I've been calling it rockstar liberalism.
Yeah. I want to tell you an anecdote regarding that, because the thing is that the law in Argentina says that no two political parties can be called the same. So at that time I was becoming libertarian. I was reading Rothbard, and I started selling Rothbard books to other members of the party. And the law was really clear. There cannot be two parties with the same name. And the first political party of Argentina from 1853 was Partido Liberal. So I told the guys, we should be called Libertarian. We should be Libertarian Party.
Or Libertarian.
Libertario en español. And there was one guy, well, there were many like people in the room that, oh no, that has a bad connotation. Libertarian in Argentina meant like anarcho-communist. From the beginning of the 20th century. So it had a bad connotation. and they didn't want to be part of it. There were some other parts of the party that were in favor, and one guy said, well, the people from the left, they sometimes do the Socialist Party of the workers, the Socialist Party of the left, or whatever. And he said, why don't we combine the two words? And we became Partido Liberal Libertario. And in that party, there was a member that became a Bitcoiner really early on. And he came to the party and proposed, why don't we take donations in Bitcoin? And this must have been like 2011, 2012. Like I remember learning first about Bitcoin because of him, thanks to him. And I remember seeing Bitcoin be like in the single digits, like $5, $7, $8, and so on. There was one day that it shot up like from $2 to $30 and then back down. It was crazy. But I still didn't go into Bitcoin, right? I was a gold bug. Like I was into silver and gold. And then, a few years passed, but I became a Bitcoiner. The political party sadly did not win any major elections. In 2013 we were candidates, but we didn't get many votes. So by 2014 the justice system canceled the party. Many of us went into Bitcoin, to work into Bitcoin or the private sector. And it's funny now that I see sometimes Milei, right? Milei became libertarian right about the same time we were finishing with the party, right? Like in 2014. And you will hear that Milei says, oh, I am a liberal libertarian. I don't know if you heard this. Sometimes when he self-describes himself, he says, I'm a liberal libertarian. And the funny thing is, most likely he doesn't know that we invented that term on a basement of a cafe one day because of a legal matter, like just to solve the thing of the party. But it's kept, and that movement has started the revolution I mean the libertarian revolution in Argentina. But of course, most of the attribution goes to him, to Milei, not to us. I mean, we were just the kickoff. And around 2014, he started reading libertarian books, Rothbard, Mises. He told this story recently. He got awarded an award in Hayek, and of his society in Germany. And he gave a talk explaining his whole process of becoming libertarian. But one of his main deputies, Ramiro Amarra, he has some videos recognizing how Partido Liberal Libertario inspired him, right? And so yeah, that's basically part of the story. It was thanks to the political party that I came into Bitcoin. And most likely we were one of the first, if not the first one in the world to take donations in Bitcoin.
That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of complications with taking donations in Bitcoins in various countries. I don't know the legal ramifications and stuff like that. So did you first meet Milei back then, or did you?
Well, at first, I believe he added me on Facebook back then, right? He sent me a message. I have it there. The conversations are hilarious. Telling me, thank you for accepting my friend request. Cheers, JM. And I guess at first I didn't pay much attention to him. I think he was adding libertarian people on Facebook, now that he had become a libertarian. But I guess a few months later I realized the importance of him. And in October of that year, in 2014, I sent him a link to a video, a Bitcoin talk that I have uploaded, right? That this talk is still in YouTube. And he answered me saying, oh, great, amazing, would you please send me the PowerPoint presentation? He gave me his email, right? And so we started talking, but immediately he told me, my boss wants to invest 800M. And this is when I thought, oh, this guy is crazy. I mean, like I remember the first time I saw him in person, he was wearing like a shirt, right, like I'm wearing now, or yeah, like a formal shirt, but beneath in his pants he had like a swim trunk, right, like a swimsuit, right, and this is how we came to the meeting. So the fact that I saw him dressing like that, and the fact that back then, like an $800 million purchase of Bitcoin would have meant like 4 million Bitcoins. It was not for him. He said it was for his boss, right? And it was likely possible, I mean, plausible, because his boss is a billionaire. He's Eduardo Ernequian back then.
Yes.
And he's a Argentine Armenian.
Yes.
And he's a billionaire, so yeah, perhaps, who knows. Ernequian wanted to buy $800 million worth of Bitcoin back then. But if that had happened, I mean, I did not follow up on the conversation. I never sent him the presentation. Some people joke to me that you should reply now, hey, Javier, here's the presentation you asked me for, right? But yeah, it would have changed the entire history of Bitcoin, because the price would have gone up. Like, I mean, back then, 2014 was a really bad year. Bitcoin had the closing of Mt. Gox, which was a Japan exchange that had like 80% of the market. Millions of dollars lost in a theft robbery. So yeah, the price went down like $200 or so. So really, a purchase like that would have been crazy. So yeah, I guess later I did not pay much attention to Javier, but Javier started going to the radio shows, TV programs on cable channels, right? Up when eventually he went into national TV, right? And yeah, that's when we started realizing, oh, he's got potential, right? I remember with some of my friends, we were doing like radio shows with Adam. You interviewed Adam Dubove once, right? And yeah, Adam, whenever he didn't have like any topic to talk in the radio, he would say, oh, let's just call Javier and let him speak. And he would be ranting like for 15 minutes non-stop, right? So yeah, those were some interesting times back then. And yeah, I mean, it's incredible to see how Javier put all the work, and he changed the minds of I'm not going to say a whole nation, but yeah, millions of Argentines. Now it's common for Argentines to be talking about having to close the central bank, or even mentioning Austrian economics, right? It's something to behold.
Yeah, that is an interesting story. So that was, you first maybe were one of the first people to talk to Milei about crypto, about Bitcoin. I gotta ask you, what else can you tell me about Eduardo Ernequian? I mean, he's well, if Wikipedia is to be believed, he's the 5th richest person in Argentina. He's got a net worth of over $1 billion, and his parents were Armenian immigrants. He's 91 years old, so.
Well, I'm not
been
actually
involved with
like
different investments, but I assume he's been one of Milei's big backers during all this, right?
Well, I'm not an expert on him. I mean, I do know that Corporación América is the name of his main company, and he owns a lot of airports.
Yeah.
He owns America TV channel, which is one of the predominant TV channels of Argentina. I'm not sure like all the ramifications, because it's a really huge company. I'm not sure if they also do other stuff. So I don't want to say more than I really know. But from what I understand, Javier was like an economist working there, giving advice on forecast, right, on what could happen, etc. But he started having this focus of going to the media, and he became like a showman, right? So going back to Bitcoin in Argentina, or crypto, right? The Argentina really got into Bitcoin early on, because Argentina, well, up until Milei, is a really closed country, right? It's a lot of regulations. We have something called the exchange clamp. I guess it's the best translation. In Spanish is cepo cambiario, which is exchange. Like you're restricted, like the clamp that they put on your wheel when you're parked incorrectly. That's how we call it, and it means that you cannot freely buy dollars. So it's like buying dollars is restricted, it becomes illegal. You're stuck with your pesos, and if you want to buy legal dollars, well, they give you like a $200 limit, which is ridiculous, right? Imagine trying to save buying 200 per month. So if you have to save $100,000, it's going to take you your whole life, or even more, just to come up with $100,000 in Argentina, in legal matter, in legal ways. And so for those many reasons, Argentines, and because of inflation, they got Bitcoin really early. I guess the first meetup, I wasn't part of it, but I did some research, and it was as early as 2012 in Argentina. In 2013, there were many more meetups. By the end of 2013, Argentina held the first Latin American Bitcoin conference. It's called La BitConf, Latin American Bitcoin Conference. And La BitConf is the longest running conference in the world, because many conferences have come and gone, right? I believe the first Bitcoin conference was from Prague. I don't know if it was 2011. They did one in New York in 2012 with the Winklevoss brothers, I think.
Yes.
In May of 2013, there was one in San Jose. It was in California. The organizer of La BitConf went to that one, and he met many speakers. They brought them to Argentina. And unfortunately, I wasn't part of it, but yeah, I mean, it was epic, because Bitcoin was going up towards $1,000. 2013 was a really crazy year. It started at $13 in the year, and it ended in 1,000. So that developed a whole community. That community realized, hey, this is a decentralized technology. There's no like company behind it. There's no CEO. There's no marketing committee or a division. So we have to take the matters into our hands, and we have to push it, explain it, teach about it. And that's, at first there was an idea to do a Bitcoin Argentina Foundation. The Argentine judicial system did not approve it, right? They did not understand why like a money needed a foundation or something like this. They thought it was a private affair. But it was much easier to build like a civil association. And that one has been running like since, I guess, 2015, I guess. Also, the community built, no, not built, they rented a building in downtown Buenos Aires, right where all the banks are. And this building has been running ever since. It's in a corner, and it's the Espacio Bitcoin. It's the Bitcoin space. So it has many floors, offices. It used to be like a co-working that you could go and work there. And it also has a beautiful terrace. We do barbecues and stuff. So this has been since 2014. Then 2018 we did a really interesting concept that was called Bitcoineta. Bitcoinetas are a series of sprinter bands or typical bands that travel around the world, and they teach about Bitcoin. So there was a member at the end of 2017 when the La Bitcoin from Bogotá, Colombia was running, and he said, hey, why don't we do like a band that is like a happy face, right? Traveling Latin America, teaching people. And well, 2 years later, they did the first Bitcoineta, which is this one, right? And that one drove around Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, south of Brazil. And then, well, many more Bitcoinetas came out of that, right? The El Salvador one. Then there's one for South Africa, which is this one, right? Which is really cool. Yeah. I helped build the one for Europe, which is this one. Yeah. And yeah, there are many more. There's one for Ghana, West Africa. This one, sorry for the reflections. Yeah. And one for Denmark. So yeah. So this all came thanks to the Argentine community, right? The Argentine Bitcoin community was super strong, super big. 2017 we started doing like free intro talks to Bitcoin every Thursday, courses on Bitcoin, courses on mining, courses on developing smart contracts. So it was not so maxi back then, right? We were still mingled with Ethereans.
Ethereans, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, and another interesting thing to see from Argentina and Bitcoin crypto is the fact that since Argentina was used to buying and selling dollars like in the black market, and for us it's not like, oh my God, you're doing something illegal, right? You bought dollars. No, everybody does it. The whole country does it, right? They have to constantly be buying and selling dollars, like in a place we call cueva. Cueva means cave. It's hidden. It could be any place. It could be like an antique shop. It could be, I don't know, the guy that copies my keys in Argentina, he's a cave, he's a cueva, right? He under the desk, he will have some dollars and some pesos, and he will trade it to you. And so it was fascinating to see how in the pandemic, some of the cuevas started to offer buying and selling Bitcoin, buying and selling USDT, right? The Tether, the one that is backed 1-to-1 with the dollar pegged. So Argentina has a really big cash market. In Argentina, I guess if you look this up on the web, there are news articles that claim that Argentina is like the third, fourth largest holder of cash, US bills. Like it's, I don't know if it was United States, Mexico, I don't know which ones there were, but Argentina comes right up there because we have a whole history of a monetary disaster. We've destroyed 5 different currencies. I think I have it here in my book. I show some pictures. Like first the first national currency, peso moneda nacional. That was the longest running until 1970. Then we took out 2 zeros, and we did the peso ley.
Yes.
This one we took out 4 zeros, and it got up to 1 million peso notes, right? And then we did this one. Sorry, this one that was the shortest running. It only lasted 2 years. We destroyed it in 2 years, from 83 to 85. In 85, we did the Austral plan, and this one lasted 7 years, and we destroyed it. Hyperinflation, and we got this one. And this is the only period where we had like a stability. In the 90s, we did the 1-to-1 back into the dollar. It was called convertibility law. And yeah, that when I was a child, that was the only period where prices did not inflate. But by the end of 2001, we had a great crisis, and we have been inflating the currency ever since. Like at first it was 10-20% per year, and then it was 30% per year, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and so on. And that is why Argentines really got into Bitcoin and crypto. It's because we have to find ways to survive. Like if you don't think creatively, like if you are a commoner and you think, oh, I will just put my dollars in the bank, eventually you are wiped out. Because that's what happened in 2001 at the end and 2002. Whoever deposited dollars in his bank, it went to $0. So if you had $100,000 in your bank, one day they told you, oh, sorry, you have a 0 bank account balance, and we are giving you pesos. So if you had $100,000, they would give you 140,000 pesos, like a 40% extra exchange rate. But the free market of buying and selling dollars was at 4-to-1, meaning that if you took your 140,000 pesos and wanted to buy back dollars, you would get like 35,000, something like this, right? Dollars. So people lost 65% of all their savings. And if you owed money to somebody, like let's say you had a mortgage with the bank, or we had a private contract or a private mortgage, and that contract was denominated in dollars, they said, oh, we need to apply the 1.4 rule. So if you bought a house for $100,000, now you owed 140,000 pesos, which meant you owed $35,000. So debtors got privileged, and people that had loaned money out got destroyed. So Argentina teaches you really tough lessons, and from 2002, many people started saving the money in cash, either in their homes under the mattress, or in safety boxes, right, in the banks or private companies. So we have this culture. I mean, we buy houses, we sell houses, we pay cash. I believe now with Milei, he will bring back mortgages, but up until a few days ago, Argentina did not have a mortgage market.
Yeah.
So imagine trying to save up $200,000 in cash, and then going with the cash in a little bag or suitcase and counting the bills, right? In a table, there's a notary, then they transfer the deed to the house. Okay, the other person takes the suitcase. This is how things are done in Argentina.
Yeah, you take a suitcase of cash to buy a house. Yeah, I mean, this is something I don't think Americans appreciate, because, most Americans, do buy their house on a mortgage. Might be a 15-year mortgage, might be a 30-year mortgage. Of course, they try to pay it off. It's not unusual, or at least it wasn't usually in their family to have a burn the mortgage party, and also cars. People will buy cars on a, now they don't call it a mortgage, but you'll finance the car and you'll pay the car off over a period of maybe 5 years, and then the car
Yeah.
and your car
Well,
payments over. It's just
with
another thing,
cars,
but you're living in a society where you have to buy everything you have to have all the cash now to buy, and that makes everything more difficult.
yeah, with cars, we've
Yeah.
developed a crazy system that sometimes it's hard to explain. I'm not sure if Argentina invented it or perhaps it comes from somewhere else. But let's say you go to Toyota and you want to buy a Corolla or whatever, or a cheaper car. Okay, they will tell you, okay, I'm going to sell you a savings plan in which Toyota needs to find 168 customers that want to buy the Corolla. And once Toyota has the clients, it closes a group. And those clients need to pay one payment per month. Those payments are enough to buy 2 cars. So this month, the Toyota will assign 2 cars. One, they will raffle out to one of the 168 people. And the other car, they give it to the one that is willing to bid the most money to cancel the debt of the car, right? And so each month you have to wait for months on end to see if this month is your turn and you get a car. But it's also a fascinating way to save in shares of a car when you're living in an inflation environment. So the salesmen of this kind of system, they tell you, yeah, it's interest free. There's no interest on the system. But usually what they don't tell you is that each month the price of the car is different. It's the price of this month. So sometimes I remember I bought one car like this, and when I started the system, the car was worth like under 3 million pesos. And by the time I sold the car, like 2-3 years later, the car was worth like 25 million pesos, right? So yeah, I mean, that's why no Argentine saves in pesos.
Yeah.
It's delusional to save in pesos. Like when the previous president before Milei, he got into power with a dollar, an exchange rate that was 60 pesos to a dollar. When he gave government to Milei, the black market, instead of 60, was 1,200. So the peso devalued 95%. It was worth 5% of what was worth before the pandemic, right? It's crazy, and this is what Argentina have to live through. And right now it's in a really, really bad economic situation. Like usually, well, in the 90s were a good time. The 90s were a time where Argentines, well, it was really easy to make money in Argentina. And Argentina was expensive. It had a lot of taxes, it had a lot of import duties. So when I was a kid, going to America, going to the United States, going to Miami, Orlando, was cheaper than going to some places in Argentina. Like I remember, going to the Coca-Cola vending machine and paying a can for 25 cents. And I remember, in Argentina, a can of Coke is 50 cents. Right.
When was a can of Coke in America ever 25 cents?
I think it was the year 95.
5 years old, but I don't ever remember a can of Coke being 25 cents in America.
Yeah.
Not since I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah. 95, I think it was.
Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't 25 cents. No, it wasn't. No.
Well, at one moment it was 5 cents.
I mean, it might have been. Yeah. I'm just saying.
So, well, this is my memory. Perhaps my memory.
Yeah.
I was a child. I had like 10 years old. So perhaps I misplaced the numbers, but anyways,
Maybe
it
it was
was
some
for
kind
us.
of
It was
smaller
cheap.
can, but yeah.
Yeah, for us it was cheap, right? Buying Argentines would buy everything. By let's say 2017, 2018, an average salary was, or yeah, for the normal Argentine was like $1,000 per month. But the day that the previous president got announced he won the primaries, Alberto Fernandez, on that night, it was a Sunday, the exchange rate went from 40 to 60 in one night. So Argentine salaries in dollars went from 1,000 to 650 in one night. And right now a salary must be like $300 a month. So imagine living on $10 per day. That this is what the average Argentinian is making right now, right? And it's all thanks to money printing, Keynesian economics, central bank, right?
That's very interesting to see how that works out. Of course, I've also heard that there's also been a lot of Bitcoin and crypto usage in Venezuela because they've been actually worse off than Argentina has. Although,
Yeah,
definitely,
totally.
Bitcoin moves in when you can't trust your home currency. I've noticed that at least this year, it looks like the pesos kind of leveled off. For example, the Argentine peso against the Mexican peso is pretty much the same as it was back in December. 46, and now it's about 48, which not exactly, but pretty close. Not anything profound. That one Mexican peso will get you that many Argentine pesos. So
Yeah,
of course,
but
peso is just the Spanish word for shitcoin. No matter where
yeah,
you go.
we'll have to wait a few months and see if Milei is able to pull this off through, because I thought, being a libertarian, he would end these restrictions like immediately, right? He would free the market and let the dollar exchange rate be whatever it wants to be, right? And because the official dollar rate when he got into power, I think it was like 400 to $1, and the black market was 1,200. So the black market was 3 times over what the official number was. So we still have an exchange clamp, sadly, and the official dollar rate hovers around 1,000 right now, and the black market or the free dollar is 1,350 or so. So yeah, we'll have to see by the time he really frees the economy where the dollar goes, right? Where it goes. Does it go to 1,000? Does it go to 1,300? Does it go even higher? Who knows? Because Milei is counting on the fact that he has killed the inflation, or is killing the inflation. But if we do have that run up in the price of the dollar, we will see inflation again. It's coming back, right? We still have to go through that process, and then we can say, okay, now the job's finished. Argentina can be a currency that is stable, right? Sort of stable. And also, I have had also other attempts in person to orange pill him. Orange pill means when you try to convince somebody about Bitcoin. So I encountered him at many conferences, and it's like you can talk with him for 2 minutes about Bitcoin, but he never goes really deep, right? At one moment he will say, yeah, Bitcoin is private money, and I am all in for private monies. So he says it in plural. So what I take from that is, okay, for him, Bitcoin is a private money, of course, but it's just as any other private money. It's not that Bitcoin is the private money, right? So I think he never delved deeply into Bitcoin and saw why Bitcoin is better than others, how it works, and so on. So on the positive aspect of this is, what he says is, I'm going to give monetary freedom. I'm going to give people the ability to choose and let the best currency or money win. In that sense, Bitcoin, yeah, if he does it, as he promises, right? Yeah, Bitcoin could be a sort of legal tender or a currency that you can use in Argentina, just like any other.
Yeah. Well, as some people pointed out, dollars are already becoming a currency in Argentina. I mean, people use dollars to make major purchases like real estate or a car. I certainly, when I went down there, took plenty of dollars and always gave them out as tips, and that was appreciated. Uh, and not to mention, he also passed that law recently where it basically said you could use any currency you want to write contracts and stuff like that, and they'll be legally binding. So if you wanted to, you agreed to make payments in Ethereum, or if you agreed to make payments in Chilean pesos, or if you agreed to make payments in English pounds, the contract's legal. It's
exactly, yeah. So that's most that we can ask for. I mean, I would like him to be like a super expert, like perhaps Bukele is on Bitcoin, or now it appears Kennedy knows a lot about Bitcoin, and I hope that one day Trump learns about Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, and I think Chase Oliver knows about Bitcoin. Although Bukele's a very interesting. Milei doesn't have near the popularity that Bukele has, though. So I think Bukele can probably do a lot more. Smaller country, I mean, but then that's for other reasons too. But there was also that recently they passed that law though, where they were going to require more know your customer stuff and stuff like that in order to buy Bitcoin for exchanges. So what's up with that? I mean,
well,
overall,
apparently,
it's good for cryptocurrency, but that's something that's makes it harder to buy and sell Bitcoin anonymously, or get in and get out of Bitcoin anonymously, because that's really where they're controlling things. Is they control crypto by controlling the on ramps and the off ramps, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a sad part. I believe that Milei gave into that because he got his arm twisted, or it was a requirement from the OECD.
Yeah.
Apparently, he wants to join the OECD, Argentina to join the OECD.
Yeah.
And they explicitly ask him, hey, you have to put like an exchange regulation law. I mean, like you have to, like if somebody wants to regularly buy and sell, he has to register a company as an exchange and get a license, right? So yeah, that's a detriment. I'm not really sure how much if it is being applied at all right now. So because you have to change a whole culture and a whole Cueva system that is working, right? So yeah.
Yeah, the Cueva system. But it's also very interesting that you end up with this situation where now you have all this money that's in this other market that's completely off the books. How does that money ever get back in? I don't really know. It's just, as you pointed out, still,
Well, Argentina also has this thing, and I think Milei is doing it right now, that every 5 years, Argentina does we call it blanqueamiento. Blanquea comes from white.
Yes,
so a whitening. It's called a whitening, right?
Yes.
And this means that the government will offer you the chance to take your money from the black and bring it to the white for a fee, right? Like just deposit it in the bank and we will charge you a tax of 5% or a tax of 10%, and we won't ask questions, right? And they do this for the whole country. Sometimes they do some clauses like, okay, the money cannot come from a politician, like it cannot be a politician bank account or something like this, or a relative, something like this. But otherwise, yeah, it's phenomenal how millions of dollars appear out of nowhere every 5 years in Argentina. So yeah, something similar happens with taxes. Some accountant might advise you, no, don't pay the taxes. Let the bills stack up and the interest payments stack up, because Argentina, every 5, 10, 7 years, they give you a refinancing where they take out 80% deduction on all your debts, and they give you 120 months to pay with a ridiculous, it's all like this, right? So you really have to learn the Argentine ways to behave.
Yes.
And to survive.
This show is not tax advice. This show is not legal
For
advice.
sure.
This show is not financial advice. This show is not immigration advice. Just want to put that out there. My standard disclaimer. So
let me give you, just in case somebody's interested, I know it's not advice, but Argentina also has a really interesting, we call it monotributo, monotribute, which means one tax, right?
Yes.
So this was implemented in the 90s, in 98, and it meant that if your income was between $1,000 and $12,000 per month, you could switch to the one income system, the one tax system, the monotributo. You only have to do invoices for your sales, add up the total amount, and that tells you on which bracket level you are, and the tax is around 5% of the revenue, which is pretty low. And this system, you're not obliged to pay income tax or VAT or sales tax, it will be, right? No VAT. VAT in Argentina is 21%, sales income tax is for companies is 35%. So many people are incentivized to remain under the monotributo limits and never go over them, and never grow bigger than the number that it was set. So $12,000 in the year 98 was a lot of money, right? It would be like saying, oh, you can earn up to $20,000 or $25,000 today per month and just pay 5%. This is beautiful, right? So through the years, inflation has eroded the system, and some politicians raised the brackets, but it was disastrous. And now recently Milei has brought it up to nice levels. It's not the same as the 90s, but right now you can earn up to, let's say, $60,000 a year and pay a tax that is like 7% or 8% per year. So if somebody thinks, oh, this is good, cool, when you become a resident, you can pay the tax. It was fascinating to me. I was in the summer of Argentina. In January, I was in Argentina, and first a long-time friend told me, hey, there's a Bitcoin friend coming, right? Could you please show him around, an American? Sure, why not? Then another one came, another American, right? And then they told me, oh, there's a core developer for Bitcoin from Austin, show him around. Then a Swiss guy, right? And then a guy from New York and his girlfriend. And so pretty soon I was taking all these Americans to barbecues and asados and showing them around. And for me, it was the first time. It was fascinating to see Americans saying, hey, perhaps I could live here. Hey, perhaps I could spend 6 months and do it 2 years in Argentina and apply for an Argentine citizenship, right? So my head was like exploding. Oh my God, I mean, the Americans are trying to go the other direction, like fleeing America, going to Argentina. I have never seen that, right? So yeah, if we will have to wait and see if Milei can remain in power, because there are many forces trying for him to resign or get taken out or whatever. And also he has really little support in the deputies and in Congress. So next year there are midterm elections, and if he performs well in those elections, he will get much more support in Congress. He will be able to do much more laws and do the kind of reforms that need to be done, right? And that's when I would say, okay, now Argentina has a future. It's a goal where we will have more freedom, perhaps, than even in the United States. So yeah, we'll have to see, and we also have to see what happens with Trump and Harris, right?
Well, we'll have to see. Yeah, it's what other actions has Milei taken regarding Bitcoin and cryptocurrency since then? Has anything been good or bad? Any moves that you see as good or bad?
Well, not on his side. I mean, like I said, he doesn't go deep into Bitcoin knowledge, but he does have a minister of foreign affairs. It's a woman called Diana Mondino.
Yes.
And Diana, she's a Bitcoiner like since 2014 or perhaps earlier.
Yep,
and she does understand Bitcoin, right? So we have to preserve her because she's the one that is pushing for Bitcoin inside of the government. From what I hear, she's not really influential in his decisions. So I don't guess we will have much more coming from him, except I hope for one day he giving us monetary freedom. But I want to see that day coming, right? It could happen that day never comes. Something happens in the middle, right? Who knows? But if he does give us that, yeah, we will be totally free, in Argentina.
We're seeing some taxes get reduced. We got 7 months of budget surpluses. Do you think if taxes get lower, do you think we'll probably see more people just maybe complying with the system instead of trying to go around it?
Yeah, I mean, I am of the vision that a country needs a really simple tax system, like 3, 4, 5 taxes, whatever. He could expand the monotributo system, the one tribute, up to the levels that they had in the 90s. It would mean that up to $20,000 you only pay 5%. That would be even better than going to many tax havens or countries like Dubai, the Emirates, and so on, right? Just go to Argentina. Why go to the desert and have all the heat? So yeah, I hope he does that, right? He could also draw down the income tax, which is really high, 35%, VAT super high, 21%. One of the things he's saying right now is that he is lowering taxes in the fashion of lowering inflation. He's calling inflation a tax. So he's saying, I'm already lowering your taxes because inflation is a tax and you are paying for that, right? So yeah, it's a radical way to look at it, but I understand. I mean, if you could think of taxes also in the way of the expenses that the government has as a percentage of the GDP or the economy. And if he's reducing the expenses, the people will be saving that, right?
Yeah. You mentioned that Milei still has some opponents out there. Who are Milei's leading opponent, most vocal opponents right now?
Well, the traditional political parties of Argentina from all time. So the main one would be the Peronist, or it has many names. Peronist comes from Perón.
Yes.
Justicialist, which means comes from the justice. They are social justice warriors. So Partido Justicialista is the same as Peronist. So that party is the most influential in Argentine politics since Perón in the 40s, right? That party is also, even though there are like two factions, and there's one faction called the Kirchneristas, which is my like super left. The other faction could be more, conservative or whatever, but anyways, they are together. So it's an interesting phenomenon. It's more about loyalty to the party than having principles. So that's one aspect, and they are really like mafioso behavior. They really like, I twist your arm in this way so that you have to, resign or do whatever. And the other, like the radicals, which will be the other traditional party of Argentina. Those are the losers. They always, they never, if they get to power, they never accomplish anything. If they get to power, sometimes they never are able to finish the term because of the pressure put there from the Peronists. So yeah, he has both of those sides against him, right? So it would be like saying like he has, in principle, like 80% of the Congress against him, but anyways, he managed to pass laws. It's a whole process where they even discuss the whole politics and how they had to convince them, and even if there were some shady dealings to be done in order to pass laws, it's a crazy
Yes.
system, right? The Argentines are used to it. It's part of their lives.
It's unfortunate that it's become that way, but I mean, are there other, but obviously Milei has quite a bit of support. It sounds like most of the public is in favor of what he's doing. He's definitely got the youth vote out there.
Yeah, it's never happened that, I guess, well, it never happened. I won't say it will never happen, but it's not common for a politician to tell you, hey, we're going to have a really hard time. We're going to suffer, right? We run out of money. Like very, very few politicians do this, right? They always say, no, jobs are going to get better. And so in his inauguration speech, he said, there's no more money. We're going to have to tighten up and suffer for a few months. And people were, hey, cheering, right? So yeah, it's like Argentines have suffered so much that they don't care to suffer 6 or 12 more months or 18 more months, right? Yeah, it's part of their life. But it's crazy to see that now they have finally come to terms with that, and they are starting to choose the long term instead of the short term, right? So if you ask people on the street, it's funny because you can see this on Twitter. There are many clips. Leftist leaning TV channels trying to look out for people on the street that look woke or look leftist, and go interview them to say, hey, what do you think about Milei's government? And the person reply, no, it's really needed what he's doing, and yes, we need to close the central bank, and yes, we need to open up the economy, right? And the person goes. So for Argentina, that is crazy to hear. Like all these people, they were brainwashed in school, in the education system, in colleges, public and private, like to love the state. The state is the greatest. The enemy are the imperialists and the foreigners, and yeah, they're stealing our resources, and we have to live with what is ours. So we have to buy Argentine, right? And everything needs to be produced inside of Argentina, no foreign products. This is all what's in the culture, right? And if you made money, it's because you stole it from someone, or if you may have money, you're corrupt, right? There's no this idea of, hey, you can make money working or building a business. So that really fomented like an envy system, right? The poor hating the rich. So yeah, it's
Yes.
and if that's changing, almost all thanks to Milei.
I hope
All
so.
thanks
Well,
to his proof of work.
but I also want to, live in a country where the rich get rich by being productive and providing good service, as opposed to just lobbying the governments, which is what the Kirchners did. I mean, when I hear about all the real estate that they acquired, it's just like, oh yeah, and things like that. But
They must have a half of the Patagonia. All the south of the country, it's theirs, yeah.
yes,
And
so,
they bought it with stolen money from the people, yeah.
yeah, we need to. Hopefully, we can have a system that's productive, and I think we can all be a whole lot richer based on that. Again, and it's also interesting, too, the recent development in the housing markets. Uh, Rents are apparently dropping because of the deregulation of rents and properties, and there's more stuff going up.
That's
I
right.
mean, one thing that's truly amazing about Argentina, though, is it sounds like, also you don't just sometimes have to deal with, you have to deal with all these different levels of the government that want to come and screw with you and tax you. It's not just, it's not just the feds, it's the
Yeah.
provinces, it might be your city. I mean, geez, it's pretty crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
like one person.
Yeah, Argentina needs to change the culture.
Yeah.
It will take a generation at least. So we still have to see what happens. It will take years. Milei needs to get re-elected. Later on, we will need somebody similar to his ideas, right? Otherwise, if he fails, it's most likely they will attribute all the failings to libertarianism or to classical
Yeah.
liberalism, and Argentina is going to go right back to being a socialist shithole.
Well,
So yeah,
it sounds like he is re-educate. There is a re-education taking place, which I think is just this is the most phenomenal thing about all this for me. As people said, even before the election, they said he's already won. It's To me that is just phenomenal that you're actually engaging in this type of re-education. The fact that he has all these younger voters, they
and also another interesting fact: he spent $0 on ads in social media.
yeah.
$0.
Apparently,
It's all organic.
Didn't spend any money. I mean,
It's
how
all
many
organic,
times-
and the followers were the one creating memes.
Yeah,
So if you look up, there were hilarious videos being done every day by kids, by teenagers, right? So they would take movies from Hollywood, replace the faces with Milei and the vice president or whatever, like if they were like superheroes, right? And fighting the orcs or whatever. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. It was a campaign built by the people for him. It was crazy.
yeah. That's what it's true. That's truly remarkable. I mean, I don't know. Nothing has been done like this, and it's not even close. I mean, I hear so many, my liberty-friendly candidates complain, we don't have money, and yet somehow Milei managed to do all of this with He didn't spend as much money as Massa.
No,
And
for sure.
I know the
Massa had all the money from the government.
yeah
He spent many percentages points of the GDP on his
yeah,
campaign.
and I don't think the reporting requirements are nearly as stringent down there as they are here. But you have to fill out a. We took in this money, we paid this money, we spent this money. It's very bureaucratic here, but it's just it proves
Massa
that
had all the apparatus of the government working for him, for his campaign. Every employee. They would put blatant ads, not ads, like, for example, when you went to the bus stop or the train station, the TVs would say, if Massa wins, your ticket is going to be, I don't know, 100 pesos.
yeah
If Milei wins, it's going to be 1,000. Signed Ministry of Transportation, right? So it was the government telling you lies. It was lies.
yeah.
Right?
By the way, what's he been doing for the last 7 months?
I mean, the only thing I know about him is that right when he lost, he said, oh, "Okay, I'm quitting politics," and he went to work in a hedge fund. So what I can take out of that is that most likely this hedge fund wants or needs the inside info on Argentine politics.
Yeah,
Because Massa is not an expert on finance or economics. I mean, but I guess his influence has a price.
yeah. I mean, I mean, if I was just walking down the street and I think I saw Massa, I would just immediately peg him. Oh, this guy just looks like a crook. He just does it. I
You
don't
saw
know.
him?
Well, no, if I just saw him anywhere, I mean, he doesn't look like somebody I could ever trust. I think, and he was always so. It just, yeah, I wonder where he's going to go after this. It's just one question I kind of wondered about. Well, yeah, the Latin American Bitcoin conference is coming up in November again. You're going to have that. I hope that works out well. That looks like a tempting event to go to it.
We will try, because Trump gave a talk like for 1 hour and a half there or 1 hour in Nashville at the Bitcoin conference.
Yeah.
It would be great for Milei to also speak at La BitConf this year in November, November 1st. Also, to have like a private dinner with the speakers and sponsors. So we're trying to make that happen, right?
Yeah.
It would be really great.
Yeah. I also noticed one of the speakers last year was this guy named Carlos Mazlatone. What's his deal? Because he seems to be one of these guys a guy who who should like Milei, but for some reason he doesn't.
Well, I guess you could have an entire show with him. You should invite him to your show.
He seems like he's a little. I don't know how stable he is.
But
Antonella has my invitation. I'll tell you that much. Antonella Marti does have my invitation because I think she could make some sound arguments. But some of these people just go off on these emotional tangents and don't construct an argument without just calling people names.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean, Milei calls people names, but and sometimes Maslatón is more arguments, but yeah, he's a character, and I also met him thanks to this political party we were doing. So I met Carlos, I guess in 2012 or 2011, I don't know. And in fact, I brought Bitcoin to Carlos. So whenever I got on Orange Pill, I told Carlos, "Hey, we need to talk, have a dinner." He said, "Sure, let's go." And I sent him his first Bitcoin and so on. But after that, he started working for a Bitcoin bank, and he's a finance guy. He likes technical analysis, Elliott waves, and all of these. And he's one of the influencers in Argentina, I would say, regarding these matters, right? But at first, Carlos was in Milei's party. I attended. I was there when we did a rally. Milei did a rally in like a soccer field, right?
Yes.
In the outsides of Buenos Aires. And that day, I guess it must have been 2021, I guess. It had a really low turn up. Really, very few people came. It was a really cold day at night. I know, perhaps it was, let's say, 500 people. And the place had a availability for 50,000, right? So Carlos thought, oh, this Milei's sister, she's running his campaign, right?
Yes.
She's no good. Milei should listen to me, right? And yeah, I saw Carlos just say, screw this, right? I'm going to go on my own. And then he tried to compete against him. Like tell him, hey, let's do like an intern, like a primary, right? And let's go head to head. And Milei always was with the intention of, no, I am the only candidate. I am the candidate, right? And that's when, yeah, they got into a fight, and Carlos started bashing Milei everywhere, and so now he's like ostracized, right? And now he's been, yeah. I guess Carlos will need a few months or years to come out of that.
Yeah. Are there any other people, you mentioned Mondino, are there any other people you think in Milei's cabinet that are worth talking about right now? I mean, like Ocampo or somebody like that. What are they doing with regard to crypto?
No, Ocampo, I don't believe he's in his government. He's more in favor of dollarization than I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, in his government, yeah. I'm not so sure who's the, after Mondino, who's the biggest Bitcoin influencer. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I guess Marra, the deputy, he might have many cryptos.
Yeah. Maybe so, yeah.
But yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think will happen next year? You seemed a little more pessimistic than some other people I've talked to. What do you think happens in the election next year? Do you think Milei will get a more favorable Chamber of Deputies and will maybe get some more things done?
I mean, I'm not so, well, perhaps I'm the most in your show, but I'm always assigning 50-50 chances, right? Of him succeeding, him failing, because Argentina has a really bad track record, and things eventually fall down, collapse, right? That's why Argentina has been 100 years on decline, right? So yeah, to see this succeed is amazing, right? Especially it being the first libertarian president in history. So it's a showcase for the world, and I believe that Milei is becoming a world leader. Like even if after Milei, let's say everything goes all right and Milei stays in power for 8 years.
Yeah.
Well, after that, he will be traveling the world, giving talks, influencing politics everywhere, right? Being a role model for others. So his work will not finish here, right?
Well,
it won't finish with Argentina.
He's still fairly young, and his work is definitely not finished. I mean, he could start his own little school in the Javier Milei School of Public Relations. I mean, he's doing some things here that really I'm not sure if some of the things he's doing can be taught, but because it's just, I think there are so many factors here, like, being the lead singer of a Rolling Stone cover band, maybe being a soccer player, just there are personality traits here that I don't see in a lot of libertarians, but he has them. By the way, I've got to put this out there. I have been looking for some videos of him, with his band. I've never found them. There's got to be something out there. I just love to see him.
Well, I'm not sure if the band was so famous. I mean,
well, you would have thought somebody would have went to a concert and just pulled out a camera and made some recordings. They'd still have those recordings, and they would have uploaded them to YouTube by now. It's amazing how all that random stuff just shows up. I mean, a Rolling Stone cover band, it would certainly be, cool to hear Milei sing "Painted Black." I mean, or.
I guess I have some thoughts regarding what you were just saying, that perhaps the Milei thing cannot be taught.
Yeah.
Because I believe the reason why he succeeded, and the reason why he became popular, and the reason why people followed him and started hearing, was because he was a different kind of libertarian. In the sense, for example, you can get this from a rock star, or you can get this from a football player. That is his passion, right? And also the conviction. The other kind of libertarians, or the other kind of classical liberals, in Argentina we say jokingly they are canapé, which means cocktail food or finger food libertarians, which means that are the libertarians that go to cocktail receptions, right?
Yes.
And they are well dressed, and they discuss Hayek and Mises and whatever, and they don't do anything more until the next reception and the next party, right? And so when those kinds of, let's say politicians, they go to TV and they try to defend libertarian ideas, they are like, libertarianism is good, right? Whatever. But when Milei went to TV, he was, no, you're a thief, like a socialist scumbag, because, and I think, if you really believe that socialism is theft, or taxes are theft, or whatever, I mean, if you really believe it, you believe that the other person is a thief. So why are you going to treat nicely the thief, right? And so Milei really got that out of his system, right? Also for us, when we were building like I told you, the story about building the Partido Liberal Libertario, when we first started building the party, liberal was a bad word. So saying liberal, oh, he's a liberal, was an insult. So imagine how Argentina has turned around from 2009 till 2024. From being an insult to almost all the country, or the young generation wanting to be libertarian, right? So there were some people in the party that from the very beginning said, no, we cannot put liberal in the name. This cannot be said. It has to be hidden. So the party needs to be called a Republican Federal Party. So that from that day, we made a fork and we split the party. So some people went on to build the Republican Federal Party, and some other the Liberal Party, which became Liberal Libertario. And those guys went even further and renamed the party the Blue Party. So they really wanted to hide this, and Milei did not hide it, right? Milei got it spoken. He said, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, right? He started bashing the state, and he started saying politicians are thieves, and so on. And he showed his passion. So I truly believe that if a person back in 2017, 2018, or whatever, if you saw an interview with Milei and a socialist, and you put it on mute, and you're not hearing the arguments, but you can see the body language and what they're doing, you can say, okay, Milei is winning this argument, or Milei is winning this fight, right? Because the socialist is used to having like the moral upper hand, right? And it's a sad thing that we libertarians or classical liberals have allowed ourselves to be put in an inferior position by, I guess the reason why this happened is because we were a minority. Because you are born into a minority of 1%, right? So it's difficult to have 99% of the world tell you, hey, you're totally wrong, you're totally delusional, right? So it takes a lot of courage and personality to say, no, all the other people are wrong, I'm correct, right? And now, 12 years later, 14 years later, we're here.
Yeah, it's this has been fascinating to watch. I hope we can certainly get more things going better soon. Also I got to ask, it has, today is August 7th. It's been a fairly interesting week for Bitcoin in general. I mean, we had this pretty big crash of about 20%. It looks like there's a little bit of recovery right now, but what's up with all this?
Well, you can never really tell the reasons why Bitcoin go down or up, but I also will attribute it to the fact that all the markets came down, right, on Black Monday, 2 days ago. So Bitcoin is I was seeing an argument there on Twitter that says Bitcoin is one of the most liquid things you can own. Yeah. And when you're in a crisis, it's the easiest to sell.
Yeah.
Some other commodities or products you have may take, perhaps you have to wait until business hours, or perhaps you have to wait until they clear or whatever. So Bitcoin is faster. And you will sell that, but that's one argument. Who knows? I believe in Bitcoin long term. So for me, Bitcoin is still super cheap. Like even if you see that 55,000, or I don't know what it is now, 56.
56,000 American dollars. Yes.
We're still at less than 1% of what Bitcoin can or should be, because the aim of Bitcoiners is for Bitcoin to be a global money, right? To be used in global commerce for the world economy. So in order to reach that destination, we need Bitcoin in 5 million, 10 million, right? And then you could say, right, but if Bitcoin is 5 million or 10 million and nobody's using the dollar, how much is the dollar worth? I mean, there would be like a oversupply of dollars. There will be like a hyperinflation in dollar prices. So to truly achieve it's like you never reach the end goal in price, because as Bitcoin gets adopted, the dollar gets destroyed.
Yes.
I mean, the only way for this not to happen would be for Bitcoin to changing the behavior of governments. I mean, it would be as if the central banks of the world would say, oh, gee, now we have a competitor. We have a better product out there. And we need to stop money printing to stop inflation, so people choose us instead of Bitcoin, right? But if the governments continue this behavior of deficit spending, being broke, etc., they will continue printing money, and that will continue to add wood to the fire. I mean, it will continue to put an incentive on buying Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. For me, that's why I chose this title. For me, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The Bitcoin prophecy. Yes, I like that title. Yeah. I'd love for Milei to get a chance to maybe sit down and have dinner with some of the leading Bitcoiners. Maybe somebody like Max Kaiser or definitely Seyfedin Ammous. I mean, I think that would be awesome for him to have a talk with Seyfedin Ammous or anybody else like that.
Sure.
I don't know if that's ever happened, but it'd be cool to see it happen.
Yeah, from La Bitcoin organization team, we're trying to do that to have that happen, but we still have not been able to confirm Milei.
Well,
we still have a few months, so let's see.
And it helps that you just have the conference down there. I mean, you just got to get in the, just got to maybe drive for an hour at the most and go speak and then leave. It's a
less 15-minute drive.
And I think it's it's not that big a deal. People want to bring him to conferences in America, but you're basically looking at a whole day to come up before he speaks at the conference and a whole day to go back. It's really going to knock out 3 days for him where, he goes and speaks at a conference in Buenos Aires. He's maybe knocking out 3 hours or 4 hours at the most.
Mm-hmm.
But also he doesn't really hide out. When he goes to a conference, Milei likes people. He likes going out and talking to people. He likes going out and shaking hands. I mean, I think that's huge too. I think that makes a big difference.
And it's really nice that he's paying attention. At least, I mean, he likes whenever a libertarian organization recognizes him.
Yeah.
He makes the time for that, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to all these places in Germany, in Spain. I know where else he went. United States, and yeah. So it's nice to see libertarian organizations, foundations, or whatever that have been running for 30 years, 40 years, and seem insignificant, now be recognized by a president coming over to give them a talk. So that's nice from him.
Well, it'll also be nice to see, if we could get a, maybe Argentina could become a haven for cryptocurrency projects. It seems like America is trying to drive them all out through all this regulation. I mean, we're talking about people, getting arrested for writing code and stuff like that. I mean, I've really said to people, we've asked this question, should you just take your cryptocurrency project out of the USA completely and work on it somewhere else where you don't, and not have to comply with all the regulations?
Right. Well, we will have to see. I hope America to change in the way Argentina is changing. I mean, I hope if Trump wins, his second term will be different from the first and more Milei-like. I hope for that.
Well, closer to home, Ariel, I really hope that I'm really hoping that Maduro ends up, meeting the same fate of Ceausescu. I mean, that would be
Maduro.
Maduro. I mean, that's happening right now, and I know a lot of people who are close to that, and know people who know people have been arrested, and just it's. I do wonder if Milei is already having an effect on the other countries because of all this and saving.
Yeah, he's come out and telling the Venezuelans, go fight, lions, wake up. So yeah, he's a world leader. He's influencing the world now. But that's why I also say that he can influence Trump. And they can.
I mean, even people like Petro and Boric aren't really taking the side with Maduro, and if he's going to lose the other socialists, that's just going to be there all by himself. And not to mention I've been shouting out enough all those Venezuelans who went down to Argentina and helped Milei win. I mean, I've even seen a video of Milei holding the Venezuelan flag just to acknowledge their contributions to his campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
It's and as I say, Ariel, they're going to turn Argentina into a baseball country.
We'll see about that. Argentina has so much soccer, so much
Yeah.
football. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
we'll see. We'll see. Well, it
yeah,
was
that'd be
great,
something too.
Chris.
That just makes me wonder: has Messi ever said anything about Milei, or does he just not comment on politics at all?
I haven't heard about it,
I
no.
don't know.
But I guess I mean, it seemed that always the team
Yeah.
did not want to be part of the latest government,
Yeah.
right? And now with Milei, things are different,
Yeah.
right? It's like that with many sports people that
Yeah.
want to be seen with Milei.
He sounds like he's a legitimately great guy too. I saw one picture of somebody stopped at a red light and somebody in the car next to him threw a jersey over to him, said sign, and he autographed it while he was sitting at a red light and then gave it back to him. I mean, just
Yeah, for sure. There are videos of him,
yeah,
like he's riding on his motorcade,
yeah,
and there will be like a school bus, a tiny school bus next to him, and the kids will start waving, and he will get out of the car, cross the whole avenue, and take photos and pictures with all the kids,
yeah.
and even with dogs. His fascination is with dogs, right?
Oh yeah,
So he has to kiss every dog.
yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah,
This is
I would. I don't trust a man who hates dogs. I don't. Dogs are just they're great. I mean certainly some dogs are better than others, and you got to be careful with some dogs on the street, but because they can get pretty mean. But otherwise, they're great all around. Well, it's been great having you on here. You got your book
Thank
coming out,
Chris.
The
Thank
Bitcoin
you.
Prophecy. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go?
Sure. Well, you can follow me on Twitter, X, sorry, at Ariel Aguilar. You will
Yes,
see me as Evangelista Bitcoin, it will my nickname.
Evangelista Bitcoin. Yes.
And yeah, I hope that later when this book is available on Amazon or wherever, you will have a copy and you can find it. I really enjoyed writing it, and it's a whole recollection of why Argentina came from nothing, rise to the peak, came down, and also it's a book about Bitcoin and what a future Bitcoin world would look like, and much more. So I really hope you can read it.
Yeah. Hopefully so. Yeah, it'll be. And we've got a lot of Bitcoin meetups here in Austin too. There's a pretty active community here. We talk about other things, and it'll be. I mean, there's always been somewhat of a high tech influence here, and of course, Musk is here now too. So Milei has been to this town a couple times. I wonder if he'll make it back, but I think he got some credit. But people are saying stop making all these trips and just stay home, which might be a good thing. So anyway, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out my Substack, go buy my novel Escape from the Village. Thank you, Ariel. I'm Chris Baker. We're out.